Okay, Sweeney, that conditional 2027 second round pick that you got, that better be the next Phil Esposito or you're done. What's up, everybody? TN Fanatic here. Hope you all are having a fantastic day and welcome to another post-game reaction. In this one, I am continuing my coverage of the 2025 Stanley Cup Final. We got a big game to talk about. Another epic game just filled with tons of just madness and craziness. But actually, you know what? Before I do, I just want to encourage everyone out there watching, even if you're not a hockey fan or even a sports fan, I would highly encourage you to just watch this series. Like if you're coming home from work and you would just want to sit down, relax, watch something entertaining, and there's really nothing on, just turn on this Stanley Cup Final, because I guarantee you will be entertained in this game. It's another barn buster. You know what? The barn got blew up. It's been blown up to smithereens, and you know, I don't think that neither of these teams are done putting on clinics. The Florida Panthers beat the Edmonton Oilers in Game 2 of the 2025 Stanley Cup Final. They win 5-4 in double overtime. We got lots to talk about, a lot of goals, a lot of madness happened, so let's go ahead and dive right in. Clearly, it was an entertaining Game 1. It was an entertaining start to this series, a game where there were a lot of goals scored and a lot of hits as well, a lot of physicality. 51 hits apiece for both the Panthers and the Oilers in that affair. But as we saw, I think down the stretch, the Oilers, they were the more aggressive team, and that's what likely got them the dub. So for this game, I feel like all the pressure was on Florida. It was on the Panthers, because now they are down. They have a team that can beat them. So again, all the pressure is on Florida. How would they respond to the challenge that the Oilers have put out there? For me, I feel like in Game 1, the Panthers down the stretch, their play in the neutral zone, like it wasn't great, and also their penalty kill wasn't as aggressive throughout that game. So I was curious to see how the Panthers would respond, if they would clean those things up. So, first period, you know what? You don't even have to settle in. You don't even have to do it. This series is like a roller coaster. Because, you know, when you're on a roller coaster, you don't settle into it, right? You just go. You go, and you're just along for the ride, and you enjoy it. And for me, and probably everyone else out there, all the hockey fans out there, this has been such an entertaining series. And the start is very entertaining right here. 37 seconds in, Kane with an ice hit on Verhaeghe, but he gets a stick in there. It is a high stick. Florida is going on the power play. Then at 2:07, Verhaeghe shot from the blue line. It cannot get through. Schmidt finds it. He passes to Bennett, who scores. The Panthers up 1 early. And I'm sensing a theme here. I'm sensing a common theme, and that is whenever Sam Bennett scores, or he's involved in the scoring play, there's usually some controversy around him. You know, I don't know what it is. It just follows him everywhere. In Game 1, it was that trip by Kulak that pretty much cost the Oilers 2 goals. Here, before he got set up, there was the replay, and Bennett, if you watch him, he kicks Ekholm's stick. He kicked his stick. It was not called. Bennett gets away with it, and the Panthers open up the scoring. Now, for Sam Bennett, I will give him his credit where it is due. But, as we've seen in these playoffs, he is a guy that's not afraid to mix things up. He's not afraid to have a dirty play. He's not afraid to sucker punch a goalie, and he's not afraid to do what he has to do to give his team just some amount of edge. Give them just something for them to build off on. So I would just encourage the refs, just, you know, for the rest of this series, just watch Sam just a little bit closer. Because, you know what? If he thinks that the refs aren't going to make certain calls, Sam's not afraid to hurt someone, especially if he thinks he can get away with it. But again, I will give him his due with this goal. This was Sam's 12th goal on the road during this postseason, breaking a tie with Mark Scheifele when he did it with the Jets in 2018. You know what? This was literally the exact opposite of what the Oilers did in Game 1. You know, Edmonton, I get that they wanted to establish their game, establish a physical tone early. Sometimes that does pay off. In Game 1, it definitely paid off when Draisaitl scored a minute 6 in. Other times, it doesn't always pay off. In this case, Kane got a high stick, Panthers go on the power play, and they score 2 minutes in. And for the Oilers, this was the first time in 10 games that the Oilers have allowed the first goal. So, yeah, I mean, I bet for Kane, like, he was feeling pretty bummed out about that, about having that penalty, but he sure does redeem himself here. 7:39, Panthers. They lose the puck at center ice. Evander, he takes it down. He shoots, and he scores to even up this game right here. And for Evander Kane, this goal that he scored, to me, it looked pretty similar to what Arvidsson did, to what his goal was in Game 1. And in Kane's case, I think that he didn't have total control of this puck until he shot. I mean, he didn't really have it on his stick until he took that shot. And maybe that's what threw off Bobrovsky. Maybe that's why he was off balance. Maybe that's why he wasn't ready for that shot by Evander. Well, too bad for him. For Evander, it was his 6th goal of the postseason. So now we got the scoring started, right? So how about we start the fights, baby? At 8:49, to Chuck and Nurse, they exchange some pleasantries. So now it is a 4-on-4. And I have to tell this story. A big shout out to my mom. But, you know, as a dedicated sports fan, sometimes I get a little superstitious. You know, like if my dad goes to the bathroom, right, then my team will score. Our team will score something. For the longest time, you know, like, so me and my dad, we would always watch the game. We were watching this game, and we were downstairs eating. And so my mom, she would come in with her dinner. And so she and my dad, they sit on one couch. So my mom, when she comes in, there's a point where she's blocking my dad's view of the TV. And for some reason, whenever that happens, a goal is scored, and it happens again here. Mom, big shout out to you. At 9:19, McDavid, he skates in. He shoots. It gets blocked. His shot does, but Bouchard, he comes in and he cleans it up. He scores. The Oilers take the lead. So now the tone is, okay, the Oilers have got it. They're establishing their game once again. All that they have to do is just avoid any major errors. Oh, well, they turn the puck over at 11:37. Turnover by Edmonton. Panthers take advantage coming in. Schmidt, he finds Seth Jones in the perfect spot, and Seth reties the game. Big props to him. Another former Predator scoring in this cup final. Like we're just showing out right here. I love it. But I will give the credit to Nate Schmidt for racking up the assist. Not just in this game, but also in Game 1 as well. For Schmidt, I don't know how is he doing this? How is he finding these guys wide open? I don't know how he does it, but it's certainly entertaining to watch. Now, what I'm about to highlight next may be entertaining to some fans, and for some, especially the Oilers fans, it might be a scary and anger-inducing moment. So, soon after the tying goal by Jones, there was a moment at the end of a shift when Bennett, he falls onto Skinner. And that, of course, causes some commotion, falling onto Stuart Skinner. You know, I was thinking back to in Game 2 of the Leafs and Panthers series, that hit that Bennett got on Anthony Stolarz, where he just clocked him in the face. Stolarz would be out for the rest of that series. And then Florida, they would go on to win. If Stolarz stayed in net, if Bennett doesn't hit him, would Toronto have won that series? I mean, maybe. I mean, hey, like they took it all the way to a Game 7 without Stolarz. So I'm just going to throw that out there. But in this case, again, this is why I wanted to bring up that the refs, they need to watch Sam Bennett. Because, I don't want Skinner out. I don't want any of, the big stars going down with injuries, especially on dirty plays like this. I get that Ekholm, he kind of pushed Sam. I get that part. But Bennett, he threw his elbow out there. What do you think he's trying to do? It's not rocket science. He's trying to take out Skinner. He's trying to give his team just some little bit of edge. Trying to give him just anything that he can. And in this manner, it's despicable. So Sam gets called for goaltender interference, rightfully so. So the Oilers go on the power play. And again, I'm not being biased against the Panthers or Sam Bennett, but come on, proof's in the pudding. The dude is a menace. But you know who else is a menace? How about Mr. number 97 for the Edmonton Oilers? Connor McDavid, 12:37 on the power play. Connor, he comes in. Has this amazing feed to who else? Who else? Guess who? Leon Draisaitl. The dynamic duo strikes again. And Leon, he scores, baby! And for Bobrovsky, who, he had another great game. But, what can you do? What can you do? I said in my prediction for this Cup final, I said for Florida that they were definitely going to be looking to shut down that duo of McDavid and Draisaitl. That duo that has been so deadly all year long. And I said that that's easier said than done, but even that is putting it lightly. And for Leon, with this goal, he became just the third player in NHL history with 10 or more goals in 3 consecutive postseasons. The other two that have done it, Mike Bossy and Wayne Gretzky. Yeah, that's exclusive company right there. But Leon, he is a true phenomenon. And yeah, all this happened. All this that I just recapped happened in just the first period. This was the highest scoring period in a Stanley Cup final since Game 5 of the 2016 final when Pittsburgh played San Jose. So second period, something that I saw early, something that I picked up on is that at the end of shifts, the Oilers seemed to be that team that was the aggressor. Usually that's the Panthers, but in this case, it was Edmonton. For Florida, they were the ones that had to stay disciplined. And I bet Paul Maurice, he let them have it in that locker room. And you know what? That's why he is where he is right now, because he is a great coach. The last few shifts for the Panthers, they were so good. Florida was so good at getting guys out there and spreading that puck around. And at 8:23, it pays off. Great team effort here by the Panthers to keep this puck in. Kulikov, eventually, he takes a shot and he scores to tie the game once more. I'm telling you, everything about these two teams right here, the Oilers and the Panthers, it's just back and forth and back and forth. It's so entertaining, people! Go and watch this! This is amazing! And how about this for size right here? So, 11:06, Mikula gets called for hooking Corey Perry. So the Oilers, they go back on the power play. And I'm assuming a lot of fans, me included, were like, okay, so here's the Oilers' opportunity. Here's their chance to get back in this game. And again, I stated in my Game 1 reaction that the Panthers' penalty kill, it was okay in some aspects, but it wasn't as aggressive. Well, that changes in a hurry. Brad Marchand, all by his lonesome, skates in. He fools Skinner, and he scores! Give the assist to Lundell as well. But for Marchand, he has been on fire. He scored a power play goal in Game 1, and he finds the back of the net again here. And don't worry, I'm not done talking about Brad just yet. But let's stay right here, because the Panthers, they had another impressive performance, I feel like, in the second period. Like in Game 1, I believe they outshot Edmonton. It was like 17-8 in the second period. So they were showing it again here. They were showing their dominance. In the last 14 minutes of the second period, the Panthers had 10 scoring chances. 10. The Oilers only had 1. But as we saw in Game 1, in that third period, that's when the Oilers really turned it up. They turned it up to another level. And in that period, they outshot Florida 14-2. And of course, they would go on to win that game. So for the Panthers, this was the big test right here. In the third period, you have a great second period, absolutely. Can you transfer it over to the third period? Or would Edmonton mount a comeback like they did in Game 1? And for this third period, again, with these two teams, it's just back and forth and back and forth. It's unpredictable and entertaining as ever. So time is winding down. The Oilers down 1. They pull Skinner. So it's a 6-on-5 now for Edmonton, but the net is empty. And again, this has been such a unpredictable series. Game 1 was unpredictable. And in Game 2, it's a lot of the same. It's just unpredictability. You never know what's going to happen next with these two teams. And you know what? That's a great place to be if you are a fan watching this. But one thing that I think, that I have learned after watching just the first two games is that, everything counts. Everything. Every shift, every shot, every deflection, every second on the clock. Everything counts. And it could lead to something extraordinary. So with 30.5 seconds on the clock, Oilers win the draw. Great job by Wallman to keep this in. He takes a shot. No one can find it. The puck is loose. No one can locate it, all except for one person. And that person is none other than Corey Perry, competing in his 6,000th Cup final. He scores, and now the game is tied at 4. Are you kidding me? And everybody in Rogers Place goes absolutely crazy. And again, you can't make this up. This is stuff we see at the movies. You're down 1 with 30 seconds left. You need that game-tying goal. And who is it? It's the veteran. It's the old man getting that goal. Corey Perry scores. And for me, it was... Okay. Let me back up a little bit because I might sound a little biased. I promise I try not to be when covering this cup final, but this is just... Come on, this is unbelievable. And plus, now we get even more hockey to talk about. So, talking about overtime, talking about both of them, talking about how the Oilers did in both overtimes. Here's what I will say. I think they definitely had a better performance in the first overtime compared to the second. I think they had a lot more chances, a lot more good scoring chances. I mean, the Oilers, they had 13 shots in the first overtime. In the second, they only had 1. They only had 1. And you know what? That's a testament. We got to give credit to this Florida Panthers team right here and how they can just hang around in a game. And if you're not careful, if you don't put them away, they will find a way to make you pay for it. And at 8:05 in the second overtime, that's exactly what happened here. So after Ekholm's shot does not go, Lundell, again, I don't know how he does it, he finds Brad Marchand skating in, and Brad, he pulls the moves to fool Stewart, absolutely, and Brad, he tucks that thing home. Panthers take game 2, and the Oilers fans are sent home crying and probably tired because, that was a lot of hockey played. I feel like I gotta take a minute. Man, that was a lot of hockey. A lot of highlights that I just covered right there. But again, we gotta give our credit to these Florida Panthers on another great performance here in Game 2. And this time, it fully pays off. They tie the series. And for Brad Marchand, this, again, talking about how we're experiencing a real-life movie right here. Brad Marchand, I think back to all the way to when Florida played Boston in that first round. The Bruins, they took that 3-1 series lead in Game 5. Marchand, he has the chance to close it. He has the chance to end it right there. It was on a breakaway, but he couldn't score. And as they say, like, the rest is history. So for Brad scoring this epic double overtime goal, perhaps it gave him just a little bit of a sense of redemption. Because that goal, I'm calling it right now, that could turn the tide in Florida's favor absolutely to retake control of this entire series. And as for the Oilers, honestly, I'm going to call it right now, they were their own worst enemy in their game. Their defense was not up to par. I mean, again, Florida had guys like Seth Jones, again, that I talked about, like him scoring. He was wide open. And in this overtime, in both overtimes, the Panthers, they had guys who, like, it was just them and Skinner. Like, I remember in the first overtime, Reinhardt, he had a chance similar to Marchand, where it was just him and Stewart all alone. And Sam, he couldn't score on that chance, but Marchand, he scores to beat the Oilers. For Chris Knobloch, that's on you, dude. Like, that's on him. I mean, he's got to adjust that. He had all the time in the world to adjust it. Like, he had all that time in between the third period and the first overtime, and then from the first overtime to the second overtime. He had all that time to readjust what he needed. He wasn't able to do it, and that's what cost his team. Another stat that was interesting to me. I know the Oilers fans, they're tapping away right now. I can already hear them. But stats speak for themselves here. Check this out. The Panthers in this game had 12 takeaways. 12. The Oilers only had 5. Along with that, Edmonton had 23 giveaways in this game. And it looks like for the Panthers, they took full advantage of it. And look, I am a sports fan where, like, I love those, like, high-scoring games. But for the Oilers, if they are to get back in this series, I feel like their defense, like, they have to play better. And maybe not let Brad Marchand score while they're just sitting there. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Bouchard. I'm looking at you, dude. You just stood there and let Brad skate right on in and score. And Ekholm, don't think that you're safe either, bro, because, like, you know better than that. Come on now. And you know what? If the worst case scenario happens, right? Like, if I'm Bouchard, if I'm Ekholm in that moment, and I choose to, you know what? I'm going to trip Brad Marchand. I'm going to just do whatever I can to make sure that he does not score this goal. And then worst case scenario, the refs give him like a penalty shot and he scores. Yes, I would be bummed out. But you know what? At least I can say, you know what? I did everything that I could do to stop Brad Marchand. I mean, hey, like, that was just his night, you know? But at least I did everything that I did. There's no way that Bouchard or Ekholm or anyone else in that moment is going to look at that tape, and say, I gave everything that I had. There is no way. But it is what it is. Now the series, it shifts to South Florida for games 3 and 4, and that'll be interesting as well to watch, because for the second straight year, this is the Cup final that has the most travel miles. So I'm curious to see if we're going to have more of these, like, high-scoring games with all of the travel miles that both of these teams will be going on. But in closing, I'll just say again, like, if you are not a hockey fan or even a sports fan, and you're just scrolling through that TV, just trying to find something entertaining to watch, just turn on Game 3 and just be prepared to be absolutely amazed, because whew, this is a fun series. But fans, that is going to do it for this post-game reaction. Thank you all so much for watching. If you all enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, and you can join our Fanatic Army. And honey salutes to all of you as always, and I hope that all of you have a fantastic day.